portion of this video is sponsored by KEH. Greetings, everyone, from the seldom photographed but super cool Raymond office. I do have a really fun project to share with you today, but first, you might be wondering why I'm here alone. If you saw our last video, you know that Leigh is out of commission and badly needs back surgery. If you did not see it, I'll link it in the description for all of the details to catch you up. She's on a path to back surgery, likely this month, and our understanding is that the results and pain relief from this type of surgery are usually experienced immediately, and that would be awesome. In that prior video, I had asked if you could leave a comment or some well wishes, and the response from you all was truly amazing. I'm going to tell you something important. When Leigh is reading and engaging with those comments, in bed, on her laptop or her phone, she's not focused on the pain. I looked over her shoulder as she was reading and writing in those comments, and while her back and legs certainly still hurt, she was a happy person and more than a little emotional, and I truly can't thank you enough for all of that. She's amazing and strong, as you know, which is why it's been so painful for her to experience this, and really also painful for the rest of us to watch this bring her down the way that it has. She'll be back soon, I know that she will, and really her idea mill has been going on overdrive to the point where I've had to encourage her to relax and not overdo it. She is, however, trying to do pretty regular updates and chats with you on her Instagram stories. So if you aren't following her there is a link in the description of this video to get you there. Now, let's get to the topic of today's video. Leigh and I had talked very candidly about what to do with the channel over what has become a multi-month journey for her. She's been very clear to me to run with any ideas that I have, and to appear on camera and talk about the things that we like. And the topic today is definitely something that we both get excited about. So here I am on camera showing you something that until a couple of months ago, I would have actually just laughed at the notion of. For years, many of us have been taking color photos like this one and converting them to black and white images. There's a few different techniques and ways to do it, but the concept is that I take my wonderful color image, convert it to black and white, and look, I'm an artist. Now, there have been photo restorers for a long time who will colorize old black and white photos from eras gone by using a combination of science and artistry. Now, it can be a bit pricey, but I certainly appreciate what they do. But did you know through the magic of computers, neural engines, image correlations, and artificial intelligence, you can take a black and white photo and turn it into a color image? And by that, I mean truly a black and white photo, either film or digital, with no hidden color data, and then you can produce a realistic color photo from it. And today I'm going to show you a couple different ways to do it and talk about why you might want to take monochromatic source material and colorize it. Let's take a moment first to talk about KEH, the sponsor of today's video. KEH has been buying and selling pre-owned photography gear since 1979. We've been working with them for over 2 years, and we were customers before that and continue to be. Leigh normally tells you about the ease of the process of selling your gear to them, how you can trust their gear ratings when purchasing because they thoroughly test everything, and how you find new, old, and everything in between gear on their site. But I have a personal story for you this time. It's a true story. In fact, just yesterday, a longtime friend contacted me to wish Leigh well for her upcoming surgery, and of course we started talking about cameras. My friend Paul is shopping for a vintage Canon film SLR. It's a new year and he's looking for some new challenges. He's narrowed down his selections, and I asked Paul, have you looked at KEH.com? They have a broad selection of used gear, often in perfect condition. I said, in fact, you can get a discount if you use the link and code down in the description. And I sent him last month's sponsored video. He's been shopping locally, and I absolutely love that. But one thing with local is it's hard for them to match the breadth and depth that KEH has in their product availability because so many people trade their gear in from all over the place. So KEH has so much gear. And did I mention that KEH also has film stock available? And these days, if you're shooting film, it's good to have a few different sources for film because they can run out. As you know, the majority of our film gear, f6, FM3A, and some lenses, was recently purchased and came straight from KEH. So like I said, use our link and code down in the description. You can get a discount on the purchase of gear. But if you want to sell some of the gear that you are ready to part with, that you've loved, but it's time to move on. We've got a link and code in the description to get a bonus on the sale of your used gear. Thank you to KEH for those discounts and bonuses and for partnering with us in this channel. Okay, let's talk more about these black and white to color conversions. First of all, we are exclusively leaning on technology to help us do this. There's a website called palette.fm. We have not spoken to them at all. I found someone who converted an old black and white photo on Reddit, and they linked to palette.fm. I immediately assumed that the colorization would be a cumbersome manual process. But in the name of science, I uploaded that first black and white photo, and here's what happened. It's in color. And you can open different derivatives using color palettes from different images that palette.fm's AI can correlate your image with. It works equally well whether you access the site on a computer or mobile. And the first time I did it, I was stunned and I was even a little confused. Like, what's going on? Did I upload the wrong image? How did it do this? I'll jump to the different derivatives here so you can see some of the different looks. It takes a few seconds for each, so I'll just speed things up a little bit here so you can see a few different variants quickly. And then I did another image and another. And in a moment, I'll show you a similar capability that Photoshop users can access. But first, let's talk about the why. Is this a quick novelty trick, or is there maybe more to this? And that depends on you. I can say that for Leigh and I, we love black and white photography, and we've actually been shooting as much film as digital in the past year. The number of images we capture on digital is certainly more because we aren't limited by the number of exposures and the cost of developing. But we are more mindful with film, and on any given day, we're actually equally as likely to have a film camera with us as we are digital, often only film cameras. And with our fairly light Christmas this year, our gifts for each other were actually film cameras, which were immediately loaded with Tri-X400, a purely black and white, super grainy, wonderful film stock. And I'll speculate that we're going to shoot a few dozen rolls of Tri-X this year. Though Leigh also really likes the relatively new Fujifilm Acros 2 monochrome film with those new fun cameras and our f6 and FM3A and a few others back in Leigh's office. And I would say by and large, those black and white photos will remain black and white. But I have to admit, every time that we leave the house with only black and white gear or have that mirrorless camera hard set to black and white JPEG images, I'm left wondering just a bit, oh, what if there's some image today where color would just make it all happen? Now, normally the mindset is, hey, I'm shooting black and white today, so that's how it's going to be. Too bad. But when it comes to sharing photos, not everyone's necessarily going to understand your artistic choices and vision. Well, too bad for them, but palette.fm, and the next option I'll share with you, does give you an option if you're wondering how that black and white image might look in color. Also, if you have some historical images of your family or even your ancestors, like I mentioned before, this is an interesting way to see how they might look if pictured today in full color. It's not magic. The engine does have to make certain assumptions based on correlated images. Now, our skin tones normally look fantastic in these conversions, and our landscapes have come out virtually indistinguishable from images that were originally captured in color. I took this old high school marching band photo of me. The skin tone and even the fall foliage on those trees in the cold weather of New Jersey, they're accurate. But the engine has no idea that this was a red uniform. So it makes an assumption, and it ends up looking a lot like a lot of marching band uniforms do and did at the time, just not the red that mine was. Now that's completely understandable, and it's an amazing representation of 1980s marching band and me as a freshman in high school. Okay guys, I've got to interrupt my own video for a second because we discovered something amazing when editing this video. If you take an image like the marching band photo and you go in and you edit the keywords, it actually updates the image correlation. So I've gone in here and I've asked for marching band red uniform, and let's see what happens. There it is. It's picked up on the uniforms of the people playing their instruments behind me, and it's made them red. We were just blown away when we saw this. If you want something different, you can go into the text, edit the prompt for the image and re-correlate it to other colors and other images and all the other stuff that it does in its AI. So let's go change red to green and see if it picks up on just the uniform and the hat and the people behind me, or just see what it does here. And there it is. The shirt, the hat, the stripe down the side of the pants, and the people behind me are in a completely not real at the time, but real in this image, green uniform. So if you want something different when you're using palette.fm, it can't hurt to go out, click that pencil on the right side of the screen, edit or add to the image prompt that's there, and see the results that you get. Again, we're blown away. We didn't pick up on this when originally filming the video, but we were poking around the interface. We were working with some more images for Instagram. We went in, we edited the keywords, and there you have it. It will do what you ask it to do. Let's try some conversions in Photoshop, because Photoshop does have its own built-in colorizer. You'll open an image and navigate to Filter, and then Neural Filters, and then find Colorize. The first time you use it, there might be a quick install, and then you're off and running. And while Photoshop does not give you the ready-to-go palette assortment, you can make some slider adjustments, and Photoshop does give you the option to manually and intelligently splash color onto different areas of the image, which works pretty well. But it does take a bit more time to get everything right, but you're also in more control. So there's trade-offs. And of course, because we are who we are, I asked myself, what if we took an image that was of black and white objects and tried to colorize it? So there was really no color in the original image. And what if we took a color image, made it black and white, and had these tools recolorize it, and then compare back to the original color image? And what if we took something like a box of crayons or even a video game and turned these neural engines loose on them? Now, that's not really the point, to try to trick it, but let's just pretend that we're scientists for a moment. Overall, if you have Photoshop and some old or new black and white images, it's interesting to go in and see what color would have looked like. And if you want to try similar technology on your mobile device, or you want that quick choice of derivatives, palette.fm is definitely worth a look. I will say that palette.fm is free for lower resolution output, up to 500 by 500 pixels, which looks great on mobile. And they have a paid credit system for full resolution images. For me, palette.fm's quick mobile-ready solution is my first choice, particularly because of the ready-to-go choices and selections and the integration with image albums on my phone. Now, if I were restoring and colorizing an image for a client, I might start with palette.fm, but if I knew I'd be making other changes and adjustments like fixing tears and scratches, honestly, I might as well just start out in Photoshop, try to do the colorization there and do that alongside the other repairs. Like I said, though, we don't have a relationship with either palette.fm or Adobe, who makes Photoshop. We just really like experimenting with photography and sharing those experiments with you. Now, are we going to be converting monochrome images to color every week? Probably not. But I like that this option is out there for those times that we do want to use it and just see what would be possible with some of those black and white images. Like always, when we discuss something new and maybe a little controversial, we want to hear from you. Leigh and I both have questions for you. My question is this: does colorization of black and white photos fit your own photography ethics? Is it something you'd make time for? Or is it just a passing novelty and black and white is black and white, damn it? Let me know in the comments. Leigh's question to you is, she wonders what these colorization options do with darker skin tones. So if you use these options on anyone with varying skin tones from dark to super light, Leigh is keen to hear how it goes with that. So Leigh and I want to thank KEH again for continuing to support this channel, especially this month when they knew Leigh was barely going to be able to participate. You know you're dealing with a good company when they actually care enough to be flexible when health issues arise. Remember, there's links and codes to KEH in the description of the video, as well as a link to Leigh's Instagram. And I thank you all for joining our experiment today. And Leigh and I will both talk with you all very soon. Thank you.